Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another chilling episode of Criminal Chronicles. I hope you and your families are safe and sound tonight. Now buckle up, because what you're about to hear feels like a Hollywood thriller, but it's all too real. Let's take you to July 15th, a hot Monday morning, at St. Gabriel's Medical Center in Memphis, Tennessee. A name most feared across state lines. Charlie Mitchell, once known as the Don of the Delta checks, into the hospital. The reason? A routine procedure, hemorrhoids, a minor thing, medically speaking. But what unfolded in the next 48 hours turned the hospital into a crime scene straight out of a movie. Charlie was scheduled for discharge the next day, July 16th, but oddly enough, he chose to stay an extra day. And just before dawn on July 17th, 5 armed men walked straight through the hospital's entrance, gunned him down inside his private room, and disappeared like ghosts. But this wasn't a random hit. This was an orchestrated execution, a cold-blooded act carried out with military precision. Who knew he was at that hospital? Who knew he'd extend his stay by a day? Who tampered with the lock of room 209 on the second floor? And most importantly, who wanted Charlie Mitchell dead so badly they'd turn a hospital into a battlefield? Let's rewind. But before that, I want you to picture 3 key surveillance footage, 3 chilling glimpses of the crime in progress. The first footage is from July 17th. At 7:13 a.m. outside St. Gabriel's. The roads are still wet from a night of rain. It's early, no crowd. 2 men walk up, one in a motorcycle helmet. They pause. Within seconds, 4 more men approach from the left. They greet, gesture, and huddle for a short meeting. At exactly 7:15, they walk toward the hospital's main entrance. The video ends. Second footage starts on the second floor at 7:25 a.m. near room 209. The same 5 men walk down the hallway. One stands out. He wears no cap, no helmet, doesn't even try to cover his face. He leads. The other 4 follow. Oddly, the door to room 209 isn't locked. In fact, the lock is broken and not accidentally. Someone had disabled it, possibly days before. They enter the room. 10 seconds later, 4 of them rush out. But the one who led them in, he stays. He exits 38 seconds later. That man's name, Tyrell King Rashad, also known as Tyrell the Emperor on the dark web and social media. Now hold on to that name. The third footage shows the street again. A young girl in school uniform walks down the sidewalk. Suddenly, a motorcycle speeds past with 3 riders. The man in the middle, gun in hand, lifts it in the air. A twisted celebration. That's how cold-blooded this crew was. The girl freezes, then runs off in fear. Shortly after, another bike appears. 3 more men on it, 2 of them the same shooters from earlier. They're fleeing, coordinated, calm, vanishing into the morning mist. So who was Charlie Mitchell? To understand that, we head 140 miles east of Memphis, to a small, rough town on the edge of Mississippi called Eagle Hollow. The year was 2008. Charlie Mitchell was born in a working-class family, an only child, quiet, intelligent, until one day, on a dusty baseball field in Eagle Hollow, his life changed forever. A scuffle with a kid named Sonny Graya, hot-headed teen from a rival neighborhood, ended badly. Sonny beat him up, humiliated. Charlie went to Sonny's home to tell his parents, but instead of support, they too roughed him up. That night, Charlie unlocked his father's gun safe, took his dad's licensed revolver, walked back to Sonny's porch, and pulled the trigger. Sonny, died on the spot. Charlie was caught, but there was a twist. He was only 14. The court ruled him a juvenile. He was sent not to prison, but to the West Tennessee Juvenile Correctional Facility. He'd spend the next 3 years there, and it would change his life forever in juvie. Charlie met kids who weren't just misfits, they were future felons. They taught him the ropes, how to intimidate, how to earn respect, how to run a crew. By the time he was released at 17, Charlie was no longer a quiet, small-town boy. He was a future kingpin. Not long after release, he met another recently freed inmate, Sean Sheriff Wallace, real name Sean Wallace Sr. They bonded over a shared hunger for power. Together, they started small extorting gas station owners, threatening small businesses. They were ruthless and unpredictable. Their victims learned to pay or vanish soon. They weren't just thugs. They were professionals, armed, organized. They mastered a technique that sent chills across the Delta, backride blasting. One rode the bike forward, while the shooter sat backward, aiming behind, guns drawn. They'd roll up, shoot, and ride off in seconds, unrecognizable, unstoppable. By 2011, they had 8 murders under their name in 1 year. One of them changed everything. August 20th, 2011. A respected limestone businessman, Raymond Kessler, refused to pay extortion money. He laughed off their threats. He had friends in high places, politicians, cops. But on August 21st, just as Charlie had promised publicly, they shot Raymond in broad daylight, outside his home. The city erupted. This wasn't just gang violence anymore. This was war. The FBI and state police got involved. Arrests were inevitable. Eventually, both Charlie and Sean were arrested during a sting operation in Atlanta, Georgia. They were brought back, charged with 25 crimes, including 12 murders. And here's the twist. In Raymond Kessler's case, Sean Sheriff Wallace got the death penalty. Charlie got life in prison. For the first time, the justice system split them apart. Sean couldn't handle it. He believed Charlie used influence, maybe bribed officials, maybe had political strings, maybe snitched. It marked the end of their friendship and the birth of a bitter rivalry. They were moved to different prisons, Charlie to Cedar Grove Federal, Sean to Unionville State Penitentiary. The rift widened. Sean lost loyal gang members in shootouts, arrested, mysteriously vanished. Charlie's crew, untouched. That raised more questions. Inmates whispered maybe Charlie was playing both sides. Then came the final straw. Charlie managed to get parole, not for release, but a 15-day medical parole, approved on July 3, 2025, due to a health condition. He was transferred under guard to Memphis for treatment. Sean snapped. Why did Charlie get parole, and not him? They both applied. They both had records. Was Charlie still pulling strings? Sean decided this was the moment. This was the only window he had. He contacted someone who could make things happen on the outside. Tyrell, the Emperor Rashad Tyrell, based out of North Little Rock, Arkansas, was a rising name in contract killings. He ran a shadow network of young hitmen, and he had deep ties to Memphis. His cousin even worked at St. Gabriel's. Sean placed the order. Tyrell accepted. Within 72 hours, he had names of hospital staff, room number 209 daily schedule, even access to the room's faulty lock sabotaged ahead of time. The hit was GREENLIT. Charlie extended his stay to July 17th. Mistake. At 7:25 a.m., Tyrell led 4 others into the hospital. They stormed room 209. Charlie was sitting up in bed. 10 seconds. That's all it took. But Tyrell lingered for 36 more seconds. Why? He was recording a video, a receipt for the job, a message to Sean Wallace that the job was done and done right. 3 of the shooters, Sakil Malloy, Kevin Kilo Matthews, and Brandon Singh were Tyrell's men. The 4th, Sonny Ray, was Sean's loyal guy inside the crew. The message was clear. This wasn't a random murder. This was revenge, a war declaration, and the beginning of something bigger. Sean still sits inside Unionville Penitentiary. The FBI has already started questioning him. Arrests are incoming. But the most chilling part, that video the one Tyrell took. Sources say it might soon surface online. Not for fame, but for power. Because in the underworld, nothing screams louder than a murder caught on tape. That's it for tonight's episode of Criminal Chronicles. Tune in tomorrow night, 9 p.m. sharp, for another story that'll keep you up long after the lights go out. Until then, stay safe, stay sharp, and remember, no one is ever really watching until it's too late.